You are listening to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, where each week we have a conversation with everyday martial arts practitioners. From the first motivation to train, martial arts enriches our lives and becomes a lifestyle. Welcome to the individual stories of those martial artists living that lifestyle. You are listening to the abbreviated version. For those of you checking this out on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Full-length versions of this podcast can be subscribed to at our Patreon page, is www.patreon.com/malmag. Or individual full-length episodes can be purchased at our Gumroad page at malmag.gumroad.com. Before we begin this week's program, I would like to remind you to check out martialartslifestylemagazine.com to see articles on the martial arts. Click on the Store tab to find products for the practice of Southeast Asian martial arts, featuring Timmy B's brand sticks. Check out the Courses tab, currently featuring a course on the Dos Manos method of the Filipino martial arts. Also check out our Places to Train page, featuring top quality martial art academies from around the world. And of course, check out our events page for seminars and events coming up around the world. To see your school listed in our Places to Train page or your event on our events calendar, contact us at malmagonline@gmail.com. This week, I get on Zoom and I connect with an old friend, Nathan Hunt. We talk about how he got involved in martial arts, doing point karate in the 1980s, the 1980s martial arts scene in Omaha, what led him to the Army, how doing a regular job after the Army wasn't cutting it, and therefore what led him to opening a martial arts school in Wichita, Kansas, and much more. Sit back and enjoy. Welcome to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, and today I'm on Zoom. I'm connecting to Kansas with a longtime friend. I've known him, several years. It's hard to tell, anymore when I count years, but I know you've been around the academy and the instructor camps for quite a few years now. And we're kind of one of the dynamic duo online of what we call the shitsters or the defenders or whatever. I don't know, something like that. But anyway, welcome Nathan Hunt to the show.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, it was kind of fun getting that photo with Dwight. You have it, right?
Yes, yeah.
Would you send that to me?
Yeah, I will. I'll definitely send that to you. Yeah, for sure.
We got to keep putting that up. We should put some kind of like label on it, some kind of meme on it or something. Me, you, and Perez and Dwight in one spot.
Dwight, yeah. We're just missing Mick Tully in that photo, so we just
no doubt. Yeah. And for all you folks that see it, no, we didn't get together and rip on a bunch of people. We just had a good time training.
That's right.
Well, Nathan, tell us how you got involved in martial art training.
Yeah, so I was about 11 years old, and I had tried soccer and baseball and basketball, and my mom was a typical mom. She got to keep her son busy, and I didn't really jive with any of those sports. And my mom's like, "Well, hey, how about you try karate?" And so she enrolled me at a class down at the local YMCA. And that class was associated with a bigger school in the greater Omaha, Nebraska area. And so, yeah, when I got involved in that little class, I was then connected to the bigger school, and from there it's just kind of history. It just really clicked, and the discipline worked for me. It was physical activity, and it was a lot of fun. It was challenging, and it was practical. I've always been a practical person, even when I was younger. So it was very practical. I could see the usage of it for forever, and so that's what got me started. And then from there, I was brought under the wing of the grandmaster of that school, and he taught me leadership and just helped develop my character. And so from there, it just that's why I teach today, is because of Grandmaster Byrne, who is the head of the American School of Karate and Judo there in Omaha, Nebraska. So, and that school still exists today. In fact, one of the kids that I taught when he was 7, and his wife, who was about the same age, I taught them when they were kids. They now own the school. And it was actually through Collie that I got reacquainted with John. I showed up at a Bikini Tertia camp, and and with Tuhan Bill McGrath, and my name was called out, and John came over and said, "Are you Nathan Hunt from that used to teach at American School of Karate and Judo?" And so we got reacquainted. It was kind of interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know. So you're originally from Omaha.
Yes, yep. I grew up in North Omaha. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I've got a little personal connection to the area. My great aunt and uncles, my grandmother's brother and sister-in-law lived there. So we used to
Oh,
go
cool.
visit there at Thanksgiving a lot back in the late 70s into the 80s. Was this in the 1980s that you were studying?
Yes, yeah. It started in 1984. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, it was roughly, yeah, a couple years after I did. So that's kind of cool. So I think there was something really awesome about like karate in the 80s. Like that was kind of a good thing, I think, for
Right.
young
I think so
people.
too. Yeah. Yeah. So I think in the 80s the karate was much different. We did a lot of contact sparring at tournaments with no gear. Maybe that was smart, maybe it wasn't. But but it sure built resiliency.
You know, what's interesting is there's I probably can't go into it too much, but there's a case right now that Paul McCarthy. I don't know if you've ever met him out here,
Yeah.
but he's sort of an expert witness, and I did video work for the case that he's an expert witness dealing with one of these sort of McDojo type schools in their tournament. I mean, these guys are wearing gear and stuff, and then and their rules are real dicey about what is allowed at contact. Like they kind of want you to hold something, and I'd
Right.
see that in these videos where the person would throw a kick and they kind of hold it, and it's all it did jack them. What allowed was like this punching in the back of the head stuff, and these people, their defense was to turn around. Like and show their back to the person just drill them in the back of the head. And I'm thinking that's really unsafe, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe I've got some kind of nostalgic feel for what we were doing at the time, but I think for the most part, even though we weren't wearing a lot of safety gear, that we were having control to a point. Usually, if there was any gruesome, generally accidental, not intentional, like a person falling into something, what have you, and
Yeah.
we definitely weren't and running, and the other people just punching in the back of the head.
Right. I think there was a bit of honesty um in that no gear contact sparring that we had. You knew when you were hit and you knew what the good targets were, and I think there was a bit more of respect there as well because if you're going to hit them with no gear, they're going to hit you with no gear. There was this mutual respect of we know
Right.
it's going to hurt, so we know we need to defend, and I know he doesn't have gear. If he punches me in the back of the head, it's really going to hurt. So I'm going to defend properly. I think that there was just that integrity was within that, and then we became a very litigious society, and everybody wanted to sue everybody for everything. So that kind of went out the window. Um, but yeah, I think that the
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, and along with that, it just seems like the technique and everything is just you look at it now, like you watch. You remember there was the Olympic karate a while back,
yeah,
and the guy
yeah,
won because yeah, I knocked him out. Like
right,
what?
yeah,
The dude
right,
totally dropped his
exactly,
hands, walked into a kick, and he got knocked out. And to the guy who got knocked out, and I'm thinking, okay, why? And it's the same thing like when I'm watching this case too. I'm just like, this is just terrible form, it's terrible training. And it's kind of like if training only for this idea that I need to tag somebody, get a point for it, it creates, I think, a situation that is more dangerous
sure.
because you're playing that game, but at the same time, you also have in your mind this is fighting. So you're naturally going to try to fight, and I don't know. I think it sets up, these bad situations where someone could get hurt. You're playing a game.
So I think that built within the martial arts is honesty, and so trying to balance that safety with sparring as well as bring that honesty out is kind of hard sometimes. But I would rather err on the side of honesty to be to just be forthright because I think that's the integrity is what is going to make you a better person, and you're going to use that martial arts to make yourself a better person.
Did you do any tournament stuff back in your day?
I did a lot of tournaments when I was in high school. Um, and so yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, we went there. There was a huge tournament circuit when I was in high school. We used to go to Iowa, and it was interesting. In Nebraska, you couldn't punch people in the face, but in Iowa, you could punch people in the face. So with no gloves, closed fist, it was pretty interesting times. High school students punching each other in the face. Yeah. 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 Nebraska, the tournaments, they just didn't allow you to punch in the face. You go over to like Des Moines, Iowa. And during that time, we're talking the 80s and the early 90s, that you could punch to the face. So I guess like you were mentioning about getting kicked in the head, I guess they figured, that the punch to the face would be less than allowing people to get kicked in the head. So I mean the logic is sound, right?
Yeah,
Some
you think.
black eyes would be all right, but yeah, that was quite a time.
Yeah, indeed. Did you ever try like the PKA stuff, or is it just the point stuff?
No, we just did the point stuff. Yep. I'm not sure when the PK that wasn't a big item when I was around here when I was growing up around in Omaha. So it was all point fighting pretty much.
Ah, yeah, interesting. We had I know in Illinois we had well, Rockford, Illinois wasn't far, and like one of the
Right.
champions was there, and so we had like a lot of I think the actual competitors, and then the place I studied at, they trained them, and we had a couple of champions out of there. So I think that's maybe why it was a little more, I guess, forefront in my face at the time.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I think some of that stuff starts on the coasts and then makes its way inward. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I had a very similar, I think, experience to you. I started about the same age, roughly, around 12. And same thing, where I had tried baseball, football, basketball first. Same thing, parents saying, hey, try this, try this, try this, uh, which I would say is a little less than what I'm seeing parents now. Oh my God, these kids are running to our class and then they've got baseball and soccer and
yeah.
this. And I'm like, holy crap, how do you guys do all that at the same time? But something about martial art drew you to it instead. And I think the same for me. What what did you think was sort of lacking in those team sports that didn't appeal to you?
So I think that one of the things that I liked about the martial arts is that I could grow at my own pace. If you're on a soccer team and you're the worst dribbler and you can't move the ball down the field, then you're going to sit on the bench. Versus in a martial arts class, maybe my hook kick isn't the best, but maybe I got a really good side kick, so I can still grow and mature in that art or sport without being connected completely to a team and bringing down an entire team. So
Right.
I think that was what was part of it. There was more pressure. The pressure that was there was the pressure from generally two people. My instructor wanted me to get better, and me wanting to get better. And there wasn't that you're the weakest link kind of a phenomenon that happens, which is okay. I mean, a team sport is a team sport, and everybody's got to be on the same page. But I was with martial arts, you're allowed to grow. I mean, just look at the instructor camp. Not everybody has the same strengths. Not everybody can do the same things, but everybody's growing together, but individually. So it's
Right.
quite the phenomenon, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I hadn't really thought of that in the sense of like the sitting on the bench thing. The other part of sort of growing together, I had and I always liked. But yeah, that's interesting that you said that because it's like when you're looking at those team sports for kids, there's such a drive even early on, it seems, with probably more of the adults around it, I guess, that
Yeah.
there's got to be this winning, right?
Right.
And I think some have done it a little bit now. Like there's one kid that takes privates with me, and I was asking a little bit about the baseball. He's a big fan of it, and he's doing really well at it. And I said, "Well, what was this?" And they said, "Oh, we don't know. They didn't really keep score or something." I said, "Oh,
Hmm.
okay. Well, maybe that's a little better if you do something like that in the beginning so they can grow. But yeah, if you've got this concern that you've got to win, you got to make points, then yeah, you're going to basically have a bench full of kids
Right.
and, 9 of them that can actually play. If we're talking about baseball or football,
Sure.
there's more, 16, I guess. But it's just like, okay, then yeah, how do you get better? It's one thing that you're training, you'll go to practice, but if you can't scrimmage or actually play the game, it's hard to get that final part of the growth where I think martial arts, we've got a lot more stages in there,
Yes.
for sure. And you don't have to compete. It's not, that's not necessary to really get better because you can kind of do that competition within the school itself.
I think that like I've got a big kids program. I have a little over 100 kids in my program.
Wow.
And
Okay. That's amazing.
and so not every one of those kids is coordinated. Some of them are not. Some of them are really coordinated, and some of them are really driven, and some of them need some external motivation. But the what they get is they get me every single time. They not the really talented one. But to be honest with you, probably gets a little less of me because they need less instruction. The ones that
Right.
need more help get more help. The ones that need help, they get, but everybody gets access to me. Um, regardless of their natural talent. Um, and so I think that because my whole tagline is to help them become the best version of themselves, and a great sidekick will never get you a great life. But what will is taking those soft skills that you need for that great sidekick, like honesty, integrity, resiliency, good work ethic, all of that stuff will help you get a great life. But that sidekick, I mean, there's people in prison that have a better sidekick than I do, but their
Right.
life really sucks. So,
Yeah. 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 Very true. Very true. Yeah, and it's funny because even with that sort of thing, you're learning like you said, those soft skills, like a training progression. Even how do I learn something? What's a progression of how do I get better at something as as I go along? And that's transferable skill.
yes, and that's what I tell the parents. That's the most important part. Even for adults, that's really the most important part. I mean, you can look at all these fighters, and they might be great fighters, but they could be horrible people. Um, and I mean, you've got to be a good person. I mean, look at Guru Dan. I mean,
Yeah,
he's the example for all of us. Um, the man has had forgot more about martial arts than anybody knows.
yeah,
So but look at what kind of person he is. He's just the example of what a kind human being who is genuinely giving and genuinely caring is an example of. And
right.
so that's you know as close to Mr. Miyagi as anybody's ever get, right? So
That's true. That's true. And he had a laugh about that saying, I forget how long ago, he was kind of joking. He goes, some people say I've forgotten more than they'll know. And he kind of had a laugh. He goes, I suppose that could be true. Like, look, just given the mathematics, Drew, yes. Like even nothing else. We just do the math of it, and it's just true. Like you've
right.
done so much, you've had access to so many more things than the average person would have. So just
Sure.
by that alone, yes. So do you find with your kids, because we got a pretty decent kids program here too, and we're running from I think 4 to 14 in the kids program. Do you see that you get kids in there that are, say, ones that wouldn't be inclined to do other sports, just kind of like yourself?
I do. There's several kids that they've tried others, and then there's I think they're a pretty good mix. I have one of my really talented kids. He does track and he does basketball as well as martial arts. And I have another really talented high schooler. He does soccer, competitive soccer,
Wow.
um, and as well as martial arts. So I think for those kids, it provides some attribute training that they may not get in some of their other sports that helps them. It sure provides discipline training. I mean, am a retired combat veteran, so I don't I am who I am. I'm not going to change how I perceive things, how I give things. I treat them all like I'm still a platoon sergeant sometimes, so it's kind of fun. But now those kids that don't do anything else, I think that it really provides a good venue for them, and I think martial arts is accessible. Uh, when I was growing up, it was the anomalies that got the black belt, and everybody else was left behind.
Hmm.
And with the help of Melody Johnson and her skills program, she's been able to help us flip the script that the anomalies are now able to have access to the programs, and that we're able to help them become the best version of themselves, both physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And I think that is the real benefit of martial arts.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I like that demographic has changed. I mean, think about like the people that were in martial arts when you started and the people now. It's like a different demographic. Definitely more people that probably wouldn't have walked through the door back in the 80s.
Yeah, yeah. All those, yeah, just people who, I guess that they just aren't the most physical people in the world.
Right. Yeah.
But it's something that they need, and they
Right.
recognize that they need it. And instead of being tackled on the football field, and being pummeled in hockey, right? The mat provides a safer space to be able to explore those physical aspects of things.
Yeah.
We have discipline and respect built in, or we should in those inside the school.
Right. Yeah. Well, and now these days too, there's more of a variety to choose from too. So
Right.
it isn't like when we started, it was like, okay, you had karate, you had taekwondo. Those are, I mean, realistically looking the same to someone from the
Sure.
outside.
Yeah.
You're kind of doing the same similar things. And you had judo, which people may or may not look at and go, well, that's kind of like wrestling, okay.
Yeah.
And then I had a school sport like wrestling. Maybe you could find a boxing gym, um, and that was kind of your choices back then. Maybe there would be some exotic kung fu guy somewhere. I know
Right.
we had a couple
Yep.
in the Quad City area, and it's funny when I talk to people from the UK, in our age range, they had more access to Chinese martial arts, but that made sense with Hong Kong being part of
Sure.
the
Yep. With
Commonwealth.
the
Yeah,
trade routes there. Yeah.
exactly. Where we in the US had more, I guess, what the military men were exposed to, which was Japan and Korea for the most part. So that's the stuff we had coming back. And so that made a lot of sense to me as far as like that sort of evolution. But it's great now, that there's a lot of stuff available, and that's I think a large part due to the person you talked about, Dan Inosanto. I mean, I think
Yeah.
he's opened a lot of doors in that. How did you then get involved with that family? I mean, you started in karate, and it sounds like you went pretty far with it.
Yeah. So I in 2008 I got stationed at Fort Eustis, Virginia. And from there I started teaching at a Hapkido school there because I have a fourth degree in Hapkido, and I started teaching at
Oh
a
wow.
Hapkido school there. And then I saw that Guru Dan was doing a seminar. And I'm like, well, I've been reading about Guru Dan for, since I was a kid. So I'm not sure I'm going to go to the seminar. He's just down the road. So I emailed Norris Demang and had never met him before. I said, hey, is there
And this concludes the abbreviated version of the podcast. Please consider supporting the program by going to www.patreon.com/malmag and subscribing to the show. You can also purchase this individual episode or any individual episode at our Gumroad page. That's malmag.gumroad.com. Thank you for listening to this episode with Nathan Hunt. Coming up next week is Mile Marker Show number 125. And we've got a special guest for you this week, a great conversation with Burton Richardson. Our Malmag online store at martialartslifestylemagazine.com has a full selection of Timmy B's brand sticks for FMA and Krabi Kerbong. Timmy B's brand now selling in Japan as well. Beautiful Timmy B's brand shirts and Dos Manos shirts are available. We also have sarongs, malongs, and wooden training knives. An online course in the Dos Manos method for FMA is available under the Courses tab. More courses coming soon. Check out the Places to Train tab to find schools near you, and click on the events calendar page to see what seminars and events are happening all around the world. And of course, visit our main page for articles on the martial arts. Music by Arthur J. Martial Arts Lifestyle Magazine and the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast are trademarked and copyrighted by TNT LLC.